A very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman. We thank you very much for joining us on TikTok. If you are watching this on TikTok, you can also get a recap and watch this on YouTube or IGTVs. If you are doing that, if you're watching this on YouTube, on Influence SA, don't forget to click on subscribe and the bell notifications. And on IGTV, don't forget to follow and share with your friends. So thank you very much again for joining us, Eugene. What are we speaking about today?
Today's topic is all about taking risks in life. So this is a very, very cool topic. I like this topic because I know from my side, I've taken a lot of risks in business. So Neil's going to talk about more the love aspect and the relationship side of things. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting subject today.
Yes, absolutely. So today's topic is taking risks in life, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for recapping, and don't forget to click on subscribe and the notifications. If you're watching this on IGTV, don't forget to follow, and we thank you very much. We respond to all comments that we can, and don't forget to send us your feedback and topic suggestions. Today's topic is taking risks in life. So the way we'd like to start this off is by trying to define what a risk really is. A risk is something that is perhaps out of your comfort zone. Maybe it's going to be something that you are not sure of. A risk is something that can help you grow, whether it's in life, love, or business. What do you say, Eugene?
Yeah, definitely. Like there's that saying that if your fears don't scare you, they're not big enough. And this is the risks that, for me, a lot of the time when I'm about to do something new, if it doesn't scare me, I know it's not big enough. Like, because there's certain challenges I can handle, and there's certain challenges that I have to then take a risk. And yeah, it's really exciting when you do, yes, especially when it pays off. You know what I mean? Other
Yes.
times you like take that risk and it doesn't pay off, and then you get a little bit scared, and then you're like scared to take that next risk. But yeah, taking risks in life is definitely something that you have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, taking the risks in your life, also make sure that you go beyond your limits or what you
Mm,
expect of yourself. And at the end of the
mm,
day, what it does do, it provides growth, no matter the outcome. Whether the risk is a
correct,
fail or a success, it is still
correct.
growth which happens. There are lessons to be learned.
Mm,
Um, so when some people take risks, they are very scared, like you said. Sometimes they get very scared of what the expectation, what the outcomes are going to be. But what you
mm,
are doing is you're giving yourself permission. You're giving yourself permission to try something new. Because again, coming back to the words comfort zone, we get so stuck in a comfort zone that we don't want to break out of it because it's just that, it's just comfortable. Whereas if you take
yeah.
the risks, you might be expanding on something which you might not have done it before.
Mm. And that's where we've spoken before about the fear of the unknown and fear of failure. This will play a big role in you taking those risks because you're going to have that fear of failure. You're going to have that fear of the unknown. Oh, what am I getting myself into? I'm not sure if I can handle this, etc., etc. But the more you start taking risks and the more you start discovering about yourself, the more you then land up being rewarded because you then start growing and those risks don't seem that impossible. Yes, every now and then you're going to get to one where you're like, oh, am I really going to do this? But that's growth. You would never have done that a
Yes.
year or two ago. You've progressed over that period of time because you've taken those risks. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about how taking a risk is a risk itself at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
applies to life choices, it applies to business choices, it applies to love choices. And I'm going to use an example now of a friend that I won't mention their name. So they are working full time, they're looking after their family, and they really wanted to study. And they took the risk of enrolling for a course at university. And as the course progressed, they realized they actually can't handle all of it. But they would never have known that if they hadn't taken the risk. There is a quote in my book Sunny Motive, where I speak about don't be that person that sits in a rocking chair one day and goes, what if? If that person didn't take the risk to go to that university and take the course, they'd always be asking themselves, what if? What would have happened if I hadn't taken that risk? Or if, so those are the things that people look at when they're older. They go, what if I had done that? What if I had done the motivational lives with Eugene? Where would I be now? What would have happened if I had taken the left turn instead of the right turn at the traffic light? There are all these, and everything is a risk. At the end of the day, everything we do in life is a risk unless you're stuck in a comfort zone. And even within those comfort zones, there are still risks to be taken. There are still risks to be taken. When it comes to something like love, I've made a note here. It says, you sometimes meet people who have been around in relationships or friendships or whatever it may be, even in business relationships for a long, long time. But then you meet somebody that's completely inexperienced in those aspects. And if you're feeling a connection or you want to have some sort of communication with them, you are going to take the risk to trust them.
Yeah. And it does come down to trust at the end of the day, especially in relationships.
Exactly. We can give some more examples of taking risks. When you say, for example, you have a bad business deal or a bad relationship or a bad friendship with someone, and you decide to reconcile, like the Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, those things are risk taking. You take the risks by trusting those people again, even if it's just about making peace with them. You are taking the risk. And sometimes the mistake people make, and this is my next point of view, the mistake people make is they don't evaluate the possibility of being hurt, or they don't evaluate the situation properly. It's always going to be there, and that is what taking a risk is about. There's always going to be that risk factor. That's why you have business analysts and counselors and all these things, because they want to evaluate the risk factors.
And that is an important thing. Okay, so with regards to risk and my life, because obviously a lot of this Motivational Monday stuff relates to where we are. So we speak about experiences and stuff. So now I've taken a lot of risks in the last 5 years. But at the end of the day, they've been very calculated risks. I've taken the time to evaluate what are the pros, what are the cons, how much will it set me back if it's a complete failure? Is it worth still taking that risk? And 90% of the time, it is worth taking the risk because you try and figure out just exactly what you're capable of, but you don't really know what you're capable of until you keep trying. And in that figuring yourself out is that growth, and then that risk that is always there becomes, you start having more faith in yourself, so it becomes more of a calculated risk, because you're not going to just take a risk where you're like, oh, this is potential to lose everything, let me go do that. No, you're not going to do that, because you're going to now think, well, actually did it, and you're going to plan it out. And like you say, there's counselors for like relationship stuff where they try and help there, and there's business analysts that try and plan what are the risks involved in starting this business, etc. And like even yesterday, the stuff I was doing with a friend of mine, it was a calculated risk of, okay, let's move this from here and move it here and see how this grows. And the risk is paying off, but it's still a risk. So it just needs to be monitored at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and that's why they have those analysts and things there, because the people have got the experience of what the risk factors are. And even when it comes to relationship, if you've had something happen to you in a relationship, you have to analyze the level of risk you're going to take with somebody, whether it's your heart, whether it's where you let them live with you, whether you're going to move to where they are, for example. You know, you've got all these risk factors. But if we can turn our attention quickly to social media and the risks people are taking on social media, it is quite interesting because sometimes they're not always being real in front of other people off social media. So they have essentially manifested or rather managed the risk factors in their brain about, okay, I'm going to do this on social media online, but can I be real with them? Can I be real with this person when I meet them face to face? And that's a risk you have to take. So there are risks every single day. People ask sometimes, when last did you take a risk in your life? Leaving your front door and getting into your car or getting into an Uber or going for a drink, it's a risk. It's all about taking the risks. So whether you're taking a risk when it comes to business, whether you're taking a risk when it comes to love, whether you're taking a risk when it comes to your life choices, everything is about taking a risk. And sometimes you will grow from it, sometimes you will learn from it, which is still growth. At the end of the day, it comes right back to what I mentioned in the very beginning. It's about getting out of your comfort zones and growing.
Exactly. Um, like you mentioned, in today's life, everything is a risk. Okay, even as you say, leaving your house at the moment is a risk. COVID and lockdown and everything that's been going on for the last 12 months, it is a risk. But you've
Yeah.
still got to take those risks. You know what I mean? You can't, okay, staying at home and that's maybe like a very introverted person's sort of like happy place, but in life, you can't just stay there. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, leaving your house is a risk at the moment, but you've got to take those risks to be able to move on. Like earlier, you talk about social media and being your authentic self, like showing people your true self, because you taking that risk and being your authentic self online is going to be way more beneficial for you than hiding behind personas so that when people do meet you, they're like, who's that?
Who are they? Yeah,
No,
exactly.
who's that?
You know, that even staying at home is a risk because you risk picking up weight, you risk eating a lot of food, you risk doing absolutely nothing with your life. Again, there's another risk right there. Um, it's everything is about taking risks in life. I'm risking sitting on a chair right now because the chair's legs could break. You risking talking to me right now. I mean, there are so many risks out there at the moment. So
Hmm.
I think before we move on to our next little break, is there anything else you want to say, Eugene, about risks?
Not at the moment. There's a lot of questions, so we can get to those straight after this because I think that's going to add a lot of context there because there is quite a
All
few
right.
questions on both sides.
Okay. So this is Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman, and we'll be back right after this. Sunny Motive, written by Sunil Osman, uses and explains motivational quotes to encourage readers of all ages to take bold steps in life, love, and business. Order your copy now by emailing Lauren Moy Publishing on sales@laurenmoypublishing.com. Also available on takealot.com and amazon.com. Well, welcome back to Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman. We are speaking about taking risks in life. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for watching this far. Don't forget to click on subscribe and the notifications. On IGTV, click on follow and share with your friends. So, Eugene, to conclude, what would you like to say about taking risks in life?
If you don't, okay, I'm going to talk from a business aspect. Like I haven't been in a relationship for so long, so Sunil's got that covered. But from my side, everything I've done since 2013, when I basically started again, has been a risk. Every single thing. And yes, some of them haven't paid off. Some of them have. Some of them just completely, but I had to learn those things to move on. Um, and without taking those risks, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't be sitting here, first of all. I wouldn't own a rope access company. I wouldn't have Influencer SA. There wouldn't be all the stuff that I'm involved in. It just wouldn't be like that if I never took that original risk. And what happened was I believed that there was something deeper inside, and I wanted to see what that possibility was. And that risk I did in 2013 and every single thing since then has led to me being here. So taking risks is only going to help you grow as a person, because since, so what is that, 8 years now? 8 years, it has just felt like an 8 year growth party because of the amount of risks that I've taken in my life. Where before, I didn't take those risks. I didn't believe in myself enough to go, okay, well, I'm going to go do that now. But just
Yeah.
that didn't happen.
Yeah. To conclude from my side, I want to say that when I speak and when Eugene speaks about risks, we are speaking from a moral and ethical point of view. So, for example, when it comes to a relationship and you see a really, yeah, and you see a really hot person or gorgeous person and you want to have a one night stand and you're in a relationship, don't do it, because that's not a risk. That's just not nice, not good. Leave your comfort zones for growth when it comes to life, love, and business. And failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of it. Failure
100%.
is not the opposite of success, it is part of it. Take the risks, grow, learn, and do it for yourself. Love yourself, love and light to everybody. This has been Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman. And our next topic is going to be,
Trust and honesty.
there we go. I was waiting for him to say it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Have a good one.